Oh,
You personally?
sure. I've told this story about a morning early on in my career. I was an analyst working on Iraq. This was early 1993, and every branch in the CIA meets every day at 9 o'clock. Everybody has their little, lowest level branch meeting just to talk about what happened in the part of the world that you cover overnight. So I was in my 9 o'clock meeting, and the secretary came in, kind of perplexed. And she said, "John, General Powell is on the phone for you." And I said, "General Powell?" I said, "How does he know who I am?"
Colin Powell.
Colin Powell. He was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time. And she said, "I don't know, but he asked for you by name." So I looked at my boss. He said, "Well, go answer the phone." So I went to my secure line and I said, "Good morning, General Powell. May I help you?" And he says, cut straight to the chase. He says, "John, if the Iraqis were going to try to kill the president, who would be in charge of an operation like that?" I said, "Well, if you're talking about the attempt to kill President, it was George H.W.
Yes.
Bush, in Kuwait, Kuwait operations are run from the Iraqi intelligence service Basra Station. But Basra Station is headed by the director of the Iraqi intelligence service, Sabr Abdulaziz Aduri." And he said, "Where does he physically sit?" And I said, "In Iraqi intelligence service headquarters." And he says, "Thank you," and he hangs up the phone. I go back into the meeting. They said, "What do you want?" So I told them what he wanted and went about my day. That night, we fired 47 cruise missiles into Iraqi intelligence service headquarters, and we vaporized it. But we killed a janitor. And I went to the office the next day after having read the news reports, and I said to my boss, "I killed that janitor yesterday." And he said, "I knew you were going to say that. You didn't kill the janitor. Powell killed the janitor. You just answered his question. You didn't know what he was going to do with the information." But it's bothered me all these years. We bombed the place in the middle of the night because we didn't want there to be a massive loss of life.
That's what the argument would be.
But the one, like the most innocent person
Yes.
in the entire Iraqi intelligence service, the janitor, that's the guy.
I hate to say it, but that story almost sounds quaint. We now live in a world where we killed 120 schoolgirls on day one of this war.
And don't bat an eye.
And don't bat an eye. Won't even take responsibility for it.
Scandalous.